Welcome back to the live. We're just going to do a quick thing to focus on Erica Kirk, Candace Owens, Epstein class bitches that we need to expose all of what they're doing together. So, Candace Owens and Erica Kirk are doing this beef thing, which I would compare to an evil version of an untalented and evil version of like Notorious Big and Tupac Shakur because Diddy's probably in the middle of it for both occasions, and it's a manufactured beef. They're like playing it up for some type of hype, and um, they're expendable to the people who are actually benefiting from them doing it. So it doesn't really matter which of them loses first. It doesn't really matter um, how many points one of them scores off the other one or something. They're both just Nazi bitches. So we know Candace Owens is a Nazi bitch because we can verify that probably most quickly by everything she's ever said and done. But um, honing in on right now, Kanye West has apologized for being a Nazi. Kanye West apologized for being a Nazi, which is something he was doing with Candace Owens, being a Nazi with her. She, of course, hasn't apologized for being a Nazi or changed really in any way. The one thing she's done is she's the, carrying the banner for criticizing Erica Kirk and looking for the real killers of Charlie Kirk and criticizing Israel. So that's kind of where she's standing out, where she's getting all of her audience from. But she's not standing up for the people of Palestine, for the people of Gaza. She did to a slight degree, but as I've said before, save Palestine, but not like this. Free Palestine, but not like this. Not with someone like Candace Owens, who is the person who put, Trump in power and put all these people, created these conditions in the first place. So she's just another part of the same plan, and she's there to pivot the genocide that Israel's doing against the Palestinians so that they can do a genocide against the Jews because that was their original plan. Um, that's Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson and all these right wing people who get all this attention for supposedly criticizing Israel when really all they're doing is switching gears on the genocide from the genocide that they're getting the Zionists to do to genociding them. So that's the problem. That's the issue. That's what I've been saying for years is the reason why they're you know allowing or uh, encouraging Netanyahu to be so terrible is in order to provoke the backlash that they want, um, to enable the other half of the Trump-Putin the Nazi and Klan half, to go against the Jewish people. Now, Erica Kirk represents the Zionist Christian nationalist half of Trump-Putin. Candace Owens represents the Klan Nazi half. And again, we verified Candace Owens is a Nazi by her involvement with Kanye West, who has recently apologized for being a Nazi. And she's never apologized for that. Now, Erica Kirk is a little bit different type of Nazi because she's part of the Zionist Christian nationalist wing who are Nazis, but they don't brag about being Nazis or, you know, try to merch off of it like Candace Owens and Kanye West did back when he was being a Nazi. So their thing is imploding around Erica Kirk, sure, but the worst thing she did were really, it's not grifting off her husband's death, is not nearly as bad as what she was doing with the Romanian Angels. And while people are criticizing Erica Kirk or talking a lot about Erica Kirk right now, they'll usually reference some Romanian Angels without going into detail, even though that's the thing you want to go into detail with. I'll show you an example right now. Sex trafficking children to U.S. military bases and harvesting their organs for Israel is really bad. It's some Trumpy Epstein class bullshit, and it's what she's accused of or, responsible for or something. Hello. And, it's as bad as anything else any of these people have done. And yet, the current talk around Erica Kirk. Well, it is that when she was 25 years old, she was grooming a 15-year-old. That is also bad. It's not as bad as the Romanian Angel stuff, but it's also bad. And the fact that that's what they're really digging in against her, and they'll mention Romanian Angels, but they're really talking about, oh, she's a lesbian. So it's like right wing people, Milo Yiannopoulos or whatever, was trying to say, oh, she's a lesbian. No, the problem's not being a lesbian, the problem's being a groomer. But he's trying to flip that up. And this is always how they do it. A very similar phenomenon was happening with um, Anna Banana and Candace Owens. Anna Banana is this Zionist creator who's saying Candace Owens. I've seen her sponsored ad when I'm just scrolling through YouTube. Her sponsored ad comes on before a video like numerous times. And Anna Banana's like, Candace Owens is Hitler. It's like, no, Candace Owens is a Nazi, but so are you as a Zionist. Like, y'all are on the same level. Candace Owens and Erica Kirk are kind of on the same level. They're both just Nazis. They're not exactly foot soldiers. They're kind of more commander level, but they're not Hitler. That's Trump. That's Putin. That's Netanyahu. And if you're calling Candace Owens a Nazi, then you're calling Candace Owens Hitler, when she's just a Nazi, you're letting off the real Hitler. You're protecting the real Hitler, who's Trump, Putin, Netanyahu. Hillary, Trump, everybody's in them. What do I think of them? When someone says Erica needs to be investigated, yeah, and so does, Trump's golf courses, that Zorro Ranch, all this stuff needs to be more investigated. But the people who are investigating them needs to be investigated because they seem to be mostly protecting the Epstein class. Charles murder. Oh, who knows everything? Oh, Erica? She might even be complicit. Well, what if she is? Who cares? Like, you correct me if I'm wrong. Candace Owens is the only person who cares about this, right? Nobody else really cares. Right. And God We Poop just made the other point I was just about to make. Nobody watches Candace Owens because they also care about Charlie Kirk. She has a crush on Charlie Kirk. She loves Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk's dead. So you're not, presumably, allegedly, you have to say allegedly. Charlie Kirk's allegedly dead. So people who fantasize about Candace Owens, they can see her love for Charlie Kirk, who's dead. So he doesn't pose a threat to your fantasy about being with Candace Owens. And everybody who loves Candace Owens is a racist piece of shit. So even though they're a racist piece of shit, they can still fantasize about Candace Owens, like the cute one that they like or something. It's weird. But that's why everybody watches Candace Owens, because they think she's cute. Because they're racist pieces of shit who think that she's cute. But that doesn't mean they give a shit about Charlie Kirk. She still remains the only person on the planet who cares about Charlie Kirk. Let's be clear about that. But the thing is, Candace Owens and Erica Kirk beefing, it's just a distraction. It's like a psyop thing. Like, they're still really on the same team. They're just the two different wings of the Trump terrorist network. Joseph Bearpaw says she's a CIA communication assessor. That's why Erica Kirk is like that. Erica Kirk is a CIA communication assessor? What does that mean? Now, I totally trust Joseph Bearpaw more than anybody else I've met on YouTube. So, and that's why they don't watch me. What does that mean, Annie? What is a CIA communication assessor? You're saying you can tell that's what Erica Kirk is? She doesn't seem intelligent. She seems like more possessed. Kirk's wife's weird, though. They killed Kirk. Why does somebody whose name is In God We Poop say, what the fuck, you're insane? What made you say that? Anyway, an assessor used position. Like an assessor, like she was assigned by the CIA to Charlie Kirk of comms, SATA, data, logistics. That sounds like some smart person shit, though. Oh, she was assigned to Kirk, so she's not doing some smart shit. Dude, did I call you racist? I don't remember calling you racist in God We Poop. If I did and you're not racist, I apologize. What facts? Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about in God We Poop. Yeah, everybody knows the Epstein files is going to take down the Epstein class. The Epstein class is Danica Patinsky and all of them. Voodoo Child says Erica won Trump beauty pageant years before applying for a position in Turning Point. Not only that, let's focus on that for a second. Erica Kirk won the beauty pageant the day after she met Trump. Like Trump met her and she went to the beauty pageant that day or the next day and won it. Whereas, it was like a state level beauty pageant, I think. People who competed for years, she beat them. So basically, the pageant's rigged, is what I'm saying. She's not attractive. So the pageant's rigged. She didn't have the skills to be the beauty pageant winner. She just got into it, then became the pageant winner so that Trump could utilize her for, because you know what she did next? Romanian Angels. Do you know Romanian Angels? Because that's what they don't talk about. They're doing all this hype around Erica Kirk. And they'll sometimes, I see way too much content about Erica Kirk. And they'll sometimes mention Romanian Angels. Like I've even seen people I like and trust, like Lauren Pietra, saying, and this gets into the Romanian Angels thing. Let me know if you want to hear more about Romanian Angels. Dude, there's not much to say. Sex trafficking, kidnapped kids to U.S. military bases, harvesting their organs for Israel. I'll usually only hear one of those two things, depending on what source you're looking for. Yeah, she got banned for Romania for the kids that were disappeared, but they also know that those kids weren't just disappeared. They were sex trafficked to an American military base. They know some of the, American soldiers that were involved. And they harvested their organs, and the organs went to Israel. Like it doesn't get, that's the depths of the worst of the sickness of the sick Epstein class that there is. And she was right there. She was doing that, within a year of winning the Trump beauty pageant. So she's highly suspicious. You just keep hearing more and more suspicious, not just suspicious, but stuff about her. Like the story today was her grooming a 15-year-old girl. Now, grooming a 15-year-old girl is bad. I'm not trying to say that that's not bad. Grooming a 15-year-old girl is bad. It's just that we're talking a lot about that, and you have all this evidence about them kidnapping kids and sex trafficking them and harvesting their organs. Like, why doesn't that come up? Why don't people talk about that part of it? Because it gets too Epstein-y, Like, so again, the people who talk about it but don't talk about that part are effectively protecting Epstein. Yeah, it's much worse, the Romania stuff. It doesn't mean that it's okay that she groomed a child when she was 25 and the kid was 15. It doesn't make that okay. And the reason that's so sensational, people like Milo Yiannopoulos, a Nazi, is saying she's a lesbian. This shows she's a lesbian. Like there's nothing wrong with being a lesbian. There is something wrong with grooming a kid. How can you take the thing that is grooming a kid and point out lesbianism as the problem? They're always doing this, just like Anna Banana calling Candace Owens Hitler. Candace Owens is just a Nazi. Trump and Putin and Netanyahu are Hitler. If you don't call out the right ones, you're protecting them. If you're wanting to create a monitoring network, you have to be able to do such thorough obfuscation. I mean, that's the thing, is it's not that thorough. You know what I'm saying? Like, it is easy enough. I'm sitting here comparing 4 or 5 different stories that are going on that all kind of amount to the same thing. All these rich people involved in adoption agencies, foster homes, etc. Sus as fuck. Yeah, I can. I worked for some of the foster system for a while. If you don't want to get caught, where is Musk Doge now? Think about people. Well, some of them is, what did happen to those guys? Why wasn't there as much of an effort to identify those guys as there has been for the kidnappers? I'm glad you guys are aware of this stuff. I imagine we all see some of the same content about these things. CIA is forbidden of NSA powers. What did the Heritage Foundation do? Consolidate power. Well, I like to think that all their stuff can backfire on them. Just like they blocked the Stephen Colbert interview with James Tallarico today, and then millions of people saw it on YouTube, so much that it crashed YouTube, is what I heard. I heard YouTube got crashed for 85 minutes slash that was the time, that was the peak interest time, or the peak time that people have to search the internet, I guess, 6 o'clock or whatever you want to call it. And they shut it down to prevent that many people from seeing it, which, they may still count it as a win. They may say, hey, we shut down the platform in order to prevent people from seeing this. And if 4 million people saw it, but if we hadn't shut down the platform, 50 million people would have saw it. You see what I'm saying? Like they may have won by crashing YouTube, or it just crashed YouTube. Maybe that's exactly what happened, is people were trying to watch it with such intense interest at the same time. When they heard it's not going to air, that went viral and it crashed YouTube. It seems like it was always kind of the same swampers. Trump was never going to drain the swamp. Trump was never going to release the Epstein files. Trump used these things. I saw somebody pointing out Kash Patel talking about that before, saying, they'll tell you there's nothing to see here. And then he became the FBI director and told people there's nothing to see here. So he did exactly what he was complaining about them doing. He said, I told Trump to run on this issue. Not I told Trump to release the files, but I told Trump to run on the issue. And it's just, they're never about the actual justice or something. They're never about the rule of law. They're the biggest criminals out there. And they trick people into it. But I mean, people tricked into it, like it's been real obvious how racist they are and stuff. So people tricked into it really just don't have that much of an excuse. It's just sad, I guess, that they make this shit so bad that people can be so scared that, they'll vote for all this terrible racist stuff just because they're scared, because they're racist / scared about something. It's pretty sad. Trump Putin are pretty sad in general. You can trust those in power to attempt to gain more power if there's no guardrail stopping them from doing so. Well, and Trump is not just trying to gain power for power's sake. He has to try to stay ahead of the justice, coming for him. He has to try to stay ahead of his comeuppance, because of all the evil stuff he's done. People are starting to find out what all the evil stuff he's done. He knew he did all that stuff, so he had to and will have to try to steal the elections and everything else. He'll try to do everything to stay in power or to avoid consequences. And who knows why Biden didn't give him some consequences while he was in power. Son of Thor says how Repubs and Trump bots can put up with him saying they're not releasing more and nothing to see is crazy. Well, I don't think some of the like QAnon types and other people that were always motivated about releasing the Epstein files, I don't see how they can buy it. I think he's losing those supporters, which is why he wants to just do things to change our elections, because he's losing massive numbers of supporters. But also, some of those people are freaking crazy. because the evil that they've been tracking and paying attention to is crazy. So even if they're good people, they've been driven crazy by what the Epstein class has done. And as soon as they realize that it's Trump, they're still going to be crazier than living shit. They're just going to be crazy and mad at Trump. And some of them won't, some of them are going to be crazy and still believe Trump to the whatever. But there's enough of them who are crazy as shit and will now blame Trump, but they'll also feel betrayed, take it even more personally. Joseph says he is gaining it for other organizations like the Federalist Society and the Heritage Foundation. I mean, I think we need a big cleaning house. Like I was looking up Baal, the god that the Epstein class worships. And apparently, King Jehu, a king of Israel, just gathered all the worshippers of this god together and killed them all. Like, I'm not saying that that's the solution we need for MAGA today, but when you consider that that's what had to be done, or that's what, was deemed reasonable to do with people that worship this evil god, just kill them all. Like, that's just some biblical shit, right? So if we deport them all to Siberia or something, the dreaded re-education camps, whatever it takes to make MAGA American again / not have them here, send them to the country that they chose over us. The Illuminati means illumination, not obfuscation. So what does that mean? Do you think that this is a evil organization that's not the Illuminati? Do you think the Illuminati is an okay organization relative to this? Like, are they at odds? Are the Illuminati and the Epstein class at odds, or are they the same thing? Because I think I mostly have the impression, or get the message, that the Illuminati is the Epstein class, that they're super evil. But your comment right there suggests kind of the opposite. The Illuminati means illumination, not obfuscation. But these Putin types, these Epstein class, are definitely obfuscating things a lot. Parts of every organization has its own goals. Many times, like CIA and NSA and FBI, fight for their own goals. Are you saying that the Illuminati and this Epstein class Baal stuff, is two parts of the same organization? Two different wings of the same organization? Like a Hydra dragon biting its own heads. And is that what we're talking about? Add in foreign policy, who have adding yet another layer. But don't they all work together? I mean, aren't we, by this analogy, aren't we talking about the heads of the same dragon? Another layer to the complexity, but how complex is it? Like when it ultimately comes down to, we know Epstein and the Epstein class were supporting all these right-wing political movements, supporting all this evil stuff. It's all the evil. They were afraid of the Bernie supporters. They controlled the media to prevent Bernie's election. I'm enjoying your explanation. I feel like it's funny thinking about these intelligence agencies and how they kind of work for each other or work against each other or something. It kind of depends on what level you're at. Mm. I guess I'll put it this way. Say you have these agencies that are supposed to be embedded in the criminal organizations that they're taking down, but they're not ready to take it down yet or something. So they can't give it away what it is. What would you say is the why, Joseph Fairfax? Joseph says it's about clandestine operations. What many don't see is the why. Is the why just protecting the pedophile network? Or is the why just protecting the pedophile network long enough because your agents have infiltrated the pedophile network? That seems like it's a little like I'm giving them too much credit. Like they're just also the bad guys. Hmm. Letting the why be known is the worst thing as a controller to let out of your control. So, for instance, put sirens in the distance. Never underestimate greed. Let's take Erica Kirk, who you identified as a controller. She can't let the why be known to Charlie Kirk. Well, greed and power, I imagine both of those things are, whether it's for wealth or for power, people are motivated to become terrible. I imagine a lot of people in the Epstein world were motivated by sex. They just wanted to have sex. And then it turns into this child sacrifice stuff and child abuse stuff. And they're like along for it or whatever. But I don't think people got into it because they're like, oh, this is where I can go sacrifice kids. And they got into it for the sex. Trade in favors because resources come soon enough through leverage. Oh, yeah. So it's all like just dealing, like making deals in advance to gain power of things. That's why I think Putin is so stupid, because I feel like he has such full control of America right now. But instead of using it to some type of advantage to accomplish something, he's just trying to destroy the country, just trying to destroy our country out of spite for what we did to USSR. And it's like, dude, get the fuck over it. Like, you're really acting like all these USSR satellite countries are, you know, missing the old days. So, if Erica Kirk did not want Charlie Kirk to know the why, what is the why she didn't want him to know? Because he was fine with, he knew the white nationalist stuff, he knew all the racist Nazi stuff. So she's doing something that's, beyond the Nazi stuff. He started to question the genocide. You could say, okay, so she knew they were going to do a genocide, or she was with, she's with the genociders, or the genociders who you could say ultimately killed him for criticizing their genocide. That she's on their side and always has been. But is there a why that's deeper than that genocide? To me, it's just that they got those genociders to work for them, and then they're going to turn around and genocide them. That's always been my suspicion. And I wish enough people would talk about that to stop it, because I don't see going from 3 or 4 genocides to a 5th genocide that includes genociding one of the groups that was genociding it. I don't see that as an improvement. I think we should be working to less genocides. Well, Kanye West is here. You can have any church. All the churches are Church of Judas in the future. It's just a matter of getting there. You can go talk to a church in your area and get them to become Church of Judas. He has control of a rather large cache of the words oil. I think we're talking about Putin now. Putin has that control. I think all these guys are doomed. And we just have to be the ones to connect them to their doom. The interesting things going on to me were the way they were reporting on Erica Kirk fleeing the country and grooming kids. What does that mean, Joseph? Remember this, agents come and go, but cover identities are forever. Cover identities like personas they play, like 007? Like 007 is the identity, but different agents play the agent? Is that what you mean? I don't know that anything's at forever. Like Buddhism and stuff. Impermanence. Change. They just don't seem that smart. It seems like the seams of all their plans are showing that, I feel like I'm pretty smart myself. So if it's easy for me to see through it, but I can also see everybody else kind of catching up to seeing through it. Thanks for coming back, Smiles. Well, now we got Joseph Bearpaw here. Joseph Bearpaw is actually awesome. Smiles is cool too. Oh, and Kanye West for you is actually cool. Kanye West recently apologized for being a Nazi. And that draws me back to my topic that I was focusing on today. Candace Owens is a Nazi. Kanye West was a Nazi in his era that he was working with Candace Owens. Now he's apologized for being a Nazi, but Candace Owens has never apologized for being a Nazi or stopped being a Nazi. She was doing all the Trump stuff to get Trump in position, including doing the genocide in Gaza. And then she turned on the genocide in Gaza. And, the public face of that is criticizing Erica Kirk. She's the person to go in on Erica Kirk. And she didn't, I just saw a video where they're like, when will Candace Owens upload the video? She's got some video evidence on Erica Kirk and some lady. Or when will she upload it? As soon as she uploads it, Erica Kirk is done. And it's just so beef-tastic. And they're both Nazis. It's just not, neither of them are any good. Sorry. Candace Owens and Erica Kirk are both terrible. They're both Nazis. But they're not the worst Nazis ever. They're just mid-level Nazis. And they're expendable to the bigger Nazis, but they're doing a great job of taking people's time. I mean, I'm talking about them here. Again, as you know from the live, I usually talk about more important things than Candace Owens or Erica Kirk. But I realized while this is what they're pushing anyway, and this obviously hasn't gotten promoted to lots of people or anything, but while it's what they're pushing anyway, I'm going to lean into it, talk about it, and expose all the same evil through these mid-level people that I've been trying to talk about by talking about their gods and tyrants themselves. Okay. Here we go. Joseph Bearpaw said the ironic thing is Ian Fleming wasn't actually in British operations, so he didn't quite divulge what and who his team members were
but gave insight into the blunt instrument the MI5 type would use to liquefy a target. Well, not just was he giving away certain types of secrets, but just, I'm sure it was part of their operation to put out these stories. It wasn't like he was secretly writing them. They were very popular books and movies. There's a lot of cool stuff about writers and spies. I hear about some Ian Fleming stuff on the radio a lot on NPR. Yeah. So we can just say if Erica Kirk is a spy, who would you say she works for? What's your intuition? We can just throw it out there. What would it be? A nation? What nation would Erica Kirk work for? Yeah, sleep is good. Part of the pillow revolution is getting sleep and resting well. We are already live for a whole hour earlier. I just took a break and realized, I didn't really focus on what I wanted to say about Erica Kirk and Candace Owens. I got some of it in a whole entire live, but I didn't really focus on it. And I think I've got more of it this time, but I'm a little tired. Yeah, I should probably try to do this just as a video when I'm a little more collected. But yeah, Kanye West apologized for being a Nazi. When he was a Nazi in his Nazi era, he was in his Nazi period, he was collaborating with Candace Owens. She's a Nazi. But so is Erica Kirk. So why are these two Nazis fighting? It's because it's effectively distracting. Joseph says, you have to read about government history and establishment of organizations in libraries. You cannot take those books out. Just only read them there, or actually be in logistics of government. Dude, smiles, peace to you. Smiles and peace to you when you said, I so need to learn and converse sometimes too. You're conversing now. And like what you have to contribute is very good. Like, have faith and confidence in anything you think to contribute. Because we're just talking, it's just conversation. You never know what you say that might have profound meaning, even if you don't intend it in a profound way, even if it's just something you think of saying. I'm often pleased with the outcome from when I decide to say something, to speak up. And don't feel like you're changing the subject or anything. If you want anything you want to talk about is welcome. You got to understand how much better it is to have you guys here than my usual. Kanye says, sleep is good, but sometimes we need to talk about serious conversations. Agreed. Very much agreed. And sometimes being really sleepy can make you think of funny things or think of things in a new way. Thank you for this place to connect. Yeah. Thank you guys for being here. This is the important thing. I've been doing this for months and years with like literally nobody good to talk to. Like nobody. Just basically talking to myself or sometimes going off on the trolls, for something to do. But really that's bad for your health to even get all angry and upset with the trolls. So having good people in here, and occasionally some good person might come around, but it's very rare. So having not only one or two or three or more regular good people come into the live, but having two or three more at the same time who can even talk to each other and we can all talk together, dude, this is amazing. This is like what you want the internet for. What you immediately got on TikTok or used to when you signed up with TikTok, it was immediately like that. You're wow, this is so refreshing. Did you ever wonder why so many people are on TikTok? Because it works the way you want the internet to work. You can just talk to people that you actually like and meet people with common interests. And you realize that all our apps are set up the opposite way to make people super mad and like fight and stuff and just infuriate you with people being terribly stupid because that's all they show you. Because they're just trying to like prevent what can happen from the power of the internet to connect people. Joseph says, my lessons as an engineer in strategy and tactics in wargaming, simulation of actual government wargaming, tables used in the 60s and 70s, on is your best teachers without breaking issuance of security. Community, yes, and sparkles. Example, Harpoon, advanced squad leader. I'm intrigued by how much like military and strategy information you have, and then you also have like the spiritual component. My friend told me that I'm the only spiritual type person he knows who's also into recording things. The most spiritual people like look down on recording things. I'm like, yeah, probably do, and it might make me less spiritual to be so focused on recording things, but it's always been my way. I don't see those as contradictory. And I guess I should feel the same way about military and spirituality. Although my spirituality has always been about ending the military, or future utopian living where there's no military or war and stuff. The key point is wargaming was used extensively on officers' training schools. On officers' train schools. Yeah, it seems like me like a way of, it's kind of like patriarchy or capitalism or adulthood in general, just a way of tricking people into accepting complex systems that really shouldn't exist. I'm trying to think if I got the things I was trying to say said. I guess the main point I want to make is that these people even criticize each other or seem to criticize each other in order to get your attention and distract you. But they're never really criticizing, you know, their side of it, their heart of the leaders. They allow one to assess logistics and overview of both history and its failures and military successes. I wonder how much of that type of study um, points to or admits like unstudyable things, luck or favor. If one in officers training school makes top 5%, you get recruiting further up chain. That's interesting, but I think I'm a little too tired to understand it. If one in officers training school makes top 5%, you get recruiting further up chain. Oh, you're saying that if somebody does a high level at the beginning, in the entry level, they get recruited to something higher up. Example, an assessment in Navy operations of, say, submarines. Like President Jimmy Carter. It's sad thinking about all our ancestors and all the hardships they went through to fight the Nazis. Carter's officers training class in submarine warfare was top 3%. Thought he was a peanut farmer. How did he know about submarine warfare? He just learned it well? Hello, Yeef. We were just talking about wargaming, military stuff. And I was earlier talking about, what's her name? Charlie Kirk. His wife, Erica Kirk. Widow slash wife, Erica Kirk. And just kind of in general talking about the way they'll give you all sorts of information about these people to distract us from other things. Now, I'm kind of playing into that, but I kind of also feel like we can break through that. We can turn all that against them. Now, it didn't work for bringing new people into the lie. That's why Brass chose Carter to develop new ISO operations for submarines before he became president. Yeah, it's just like, they're taking sides within their own organization, you know? Like, they're still supporting Trump, but, you know, this side can criticize Netanyahu, or that side can criticize Putin. I don't know if there's a side that can criticize Putin, but they're all supporting Trump. I'm just sleepy. Yeah, I was about to go to sleep, probably. I was already live for an hour before this one. And yeah, I should just get to sleep. I'm a little down, I guess, in general. Hope you guys feel better. You know, just it stays depressing, I think, in America lately. But there's good developments too. I was gonna be all about giving hope to people in a live I did earlier, but then no people came in. I had like 100 Nazis and no people. That is a why. Now, why was Erica chosen to become comms assessor for CIA? I think her dad worked at Raytheon or something. She just had those types of connections from her family's careers, is my guess. And probably anybody working in any of those industries who's got, you know, a young daughter or son or whatever, that they can, you know, be monitoring their growth and stuff, and then jump in at the right time with an offer like, do you want to be in a beauty pageant or something like that, you know. Trump owns stock in Raytheon. Oh, cool, thanks. I don't have anything to vent about. It's all the typical stuff. I was just focusing on like kind of a boring low tier level of it. Erica Kirk and um what's her name, Candace Owens. But I thought that they use them so much to distract us. I thought, let me just go ahead and talk about them and talk about how it takes 5 seconds of talking about Eric Kirk and Romanian angels and trafficking kids and stuff. It takes a few seconds of that to kind of get down to back to the Epstein class stuff and Epstein file stuff. And then similar with Candace Owens, it's like she'll pretend to say something about Gaza, but mostly she's talking about Charlie Kirk and trying to blame Israel for stuff, but not blaming Trump. So it's like, you're just playing one side of yourself against another. The Ohio class submarine uses Big 109s, i.e., the Raytheon Tomahawk cruise missile. Yeah, and don't they just shuffle money back and forth to each other? Just, we were talking about that today, how people bet on whatever, and there's no insider trading for a lot of this stuff. And then they were talking about, ICE. That was on the NPR news talking about how there's no laws even against this certain types of insider trading about information and stuff. And so you can just trick anybody who's willing to bet on it when you know the outcome already. But they're also talking. Somebody on YouTube was talking about them buying warehouses for ICE detention centers, concentration camps. That they, a $30 million warehouse they want to pay, or a $13 million warehouse they want to pay like $130 million for. So it seems like a lot of like just way of not necessarily buying support, because you're buying the support of one warehouse owner when you give them an extra 10 times $110 million for a warehouse. But just a big scam, I guess. I mean, who is that warehouse owner? Whose warehouse did they just decide to buy? So just a way of another way of grifting money. Anyway, thank y'all for being here. Check out my content. Nice to meet you. Yeah, we can have sex if you want. Oh, yeah, never mind, sorry. Alright, so military contracts can hide money, lots of it. Yeah, pretty much. But thank you all for talking to me. It's nice to see you, Joseph. Hope you have a great night. Hope everybody has a great night. I'm gonna get to sleep because I'm pretty sleepy. But sweet dreams. I had great dreams last night. I hope I have more dreams like that tonight. And if I do, you can check them out under the hashtag Puffin Dreams. Alright, y'all have fun. See you soon.